As the world watches whether or not the United States will involve itself directly in the Iran-Israel conflict, many analysts are getting sidetracked by what would be normal considerations such as US public opinion or the role of Congress. But we are not in normal times. What we've seen over the past 5 months is that President Trump has often made unpopular decisions and often bypassed Congress, ignoring the balance of powers. So, what's important for us to pay attention to today is actually the relationship between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. From Trump's calculation, he's been very clear. If Iran attacks a US asset, he will involve the United States in the war. Now, where this gets tricky is the definition of US asset. An asset is a murky term. This could mean anything from a US military installation to American civilians. And there are many scenarios that you can imagine where Iran could either intentionally or unintentionally hit a US asset, which would immediately draw the United States into the war. Now, notably, Congress has made some attempts at passing a war powers resolution that would limit Trump's ability to enter into the war unilaterally. But I think we must remember, that this is not something that's likely to weigh into Trump's thinking, nor is this likely to be anything more than a symbolic measure. Additionally, Trump really does not want to be on the sidelines if Israel ends up taking out Iran's nuclear capabilities. This has been one of his main campaign issues, and he does not want to be seen as on the outside of this decision. Turning to Netanyahu's calculations, what we must remember here is that this is an existential issue for Netanyahu. Netanyahu's popularity plummeted in the wake of the October 7th attacks, and just last week he barely held onto his job after an attempt at dissolving the Knesset. So Netanyahu is fully aware that his power base is very fragile right now. At the same time, he has been riding high on Israeli victories against Hamas and Hezbollah. And a victory against Iran would go very far in solidifying Netanyahu's argument to the Israeli public that they need him and they want him in the driver's seat. But at the end of the day, the thing that really matters here is that Netanyahu has manipulated Trump time and time again over their many decades-long relationship. And today, Netanyahu is wounded after Trump has failed to include him in the latest round of Iran negotiations. So as we're trying to determine what the role is going to be and whether or not the United States is going to take a decision to enter into the war, I think we should remember the old adage that a wounded bear is the most dangerous.